Aloha. Welcome to the Walking in Aloha, Let's Talk Story podcast. We're so glad to have you here. Et como mai. Now here's our podcast host and award-winning author, Michelle.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast. My name is Michelle Ebalaroza Kawano, and I'm welcoming you here today for the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast. Now, if this is the first time that you're joining us, you may have heard aloha so many other times, but for me, aloha is more than just a greeting. Aloha was given to me in this format, in this way, when I prayed and I asked God to help me to write my story so that I can share it with the world. And it came out to be Aloha, affirmations and actions, leadership and love, overcoming obstacles, health and healing, and acute awareness. And those are the 5 principles, the 5 steps that God walked me through my time of domestic violence. Horrible time, but it was now the best time because now I can help other people. And in each episode, the one thing that ties all of my guests together is the Aloha Always framework. I love to see how people walk in aloha in their own ways all over the world. So far, I've spoken to people from Africa to Asia, Saudi Arabia, Europe, all over. And it is just amazing and surprising to me on how that is because I am here in Hawaii on a small little island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So I never knew that this would go so far. Today's guest is someone who understands the power of confidence. Because back then, like I said, I didn't have confidence. I didn't know that I was going to be here. Confidence and clarity, intentional leadership is what Philip Brittain brings to us today. So, especially in this season where people feel stuck, uncertain, or called to something higher but don't know how to get there, I'm just so honored to have Philip here. He's a speaker, entrepreneur, and a leadership mentor. Philip is a Christian communicator with a heart and a purpose who inspires leaders to grow in confidence and step fully into their God-given calling. His journey spans theater, arts, and entrepreneurship in the retail appliance industry and nearly 2 decades in leadership development, giving him a unique ability to blend storytelling, which I love, practical experience, and transformational insight. He is also the creator and author of the V.I.C.T.O.R.Y framework, a practical approach designed to help individuals build confidence, resilience, and intentional leadership in both life and business. So, before we go through the Aloha Always framework, I'd love to give you some space, Phil, to tell us more about what led you into this leadership speaking and the creating of the V.I.C.T.O.R.Y framework.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm super excited to be here with you today, Michelle. You've got an amazing platform and just incredible audience. And for me, you talk about the confidence piece. And as a young boy growing up, I had an incident in 2nd grade that shattered my confidence. I had the worst self-image, and all through school, I became the kid that everyone wanted to bully and beat up, and my childhood was lost. And so over many, many years, God began to teach me lessons to help build my confidence. And theater was a big piece of that. I didn't realize until my adulthood that what I used theater for when I was younger was it became an escape, because theater was then something I used to become someone else so that I didn't have to be me, because being me hurt too much. And so I learned a lot in the theater experience, and I still love theater, but I haven't done any theater in well over a couple of decades. But what I found was the things that I learned through that process helped me in sales. And then sales helped me in becoming an entrepreneur and starting my own construction company. And then also in leadership. And as I began to read books and understand what was happening in my past and all the lessons that God was teaching me along the way, suddenly I started to realize some things, and God kept throwing this victory word at me. Every time I turn around, I'd hear victory this, victory that, victory this, victory that. And it wasn't until a trip to Nigeria where I was speaking at an entrepreneurial convention that I had this amazing God moment. And maybe you've had an experience like this where God kind of slaps you upside the head, said, "Hey, I've been trying to get your attention, knucklehead. Hello, McFly." Oh man, I had this realization that I had been living with one foot in two worlds. I had a foot in construction and a foot in leadership, and I was hesitant and I was fearful and I was doubting whether or not I should build this business or build that business. And God really kind of shook me up in that moment. He gave me the victory framework and said, basically, look, I didn't call you to wear a tool belt. I called you to use your voice. Now go speak.
Nice.
And at that point, that was kind of the light bulb moment, the aha moment of, okay, wow, I guess I need to kind of close down my other business and really step into speaking and training full time and really doing what God called me to do and step into it full time and trust that as I take this next step, that God will put something solid underneath my foot when it comes down. So that's where I'm at now. And I'm just in this process of spreading the victory message to help Christian leaders, Christian business people build unshakable confidence so they can step boldly into their purpose.
That is amazing. You mentioned how you had that in Nigeria. So my company, Blessed to be a Blessing Worldwide, happened when I was actually in Kenya.
That's awesome.
It was in Kenya where that happened. And I'll save that story for another time. But from just Blessed to be a Blessing Worldwide, where I started spreading what I share worldwide, bringing my books across the globe. Now I help authors publish their own books in Blessed to be a Blessing Worldwide Publishing. And you're one of the authors. So yes,
Yay.
everyone, Voices of Aloha, Mighty Men of God, Choir of Hope is on Amazon, and Philip is one of the authors in that anthology. So amazing. But yes, so you never know. You never know when you have those God moments, what God will take from that. You give him your little and he can do so much. So yeah, amazing that you said that because mine was in Africa also. So
That's awesome.
let's start with the Aloha Always framework. Like I said, everyone that comes on to Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story, all of my guests, I love seeing how they walk through Aloha in their very own ways. When God gave me that, I know he walked me through it. Sharing it with other people, I saw that, hey, wait a moment, you're doing the same thing in your own ways. And sometimes people don't even realize it until they look at the framework and they're like, it is true. It is true. This is exactly what happened. So the first A in Aloha is affirmations and actions. Confidence is something so many leaders struggle with, sometimes even quietly. When someone feels called to lead but doesn't yet feel confident, what is the first mindset you believe that they need to make? Because we all need to have that shift in our minds because sometimes our past keeps us stuck.
Yeah, that's such a great piece, and it really fits well with the victory framework that I teach now because that first step in gaining confidence is I look at it two things. Number one, you have to gain clarity, and number two, you have to start stacking wins, compounding wins. So there has to be a clarity piece and an action piece, and that starts with a vision and identity.
Wow.
And when you gain clarity on those two pieces, oftentimes we have these limiting beliefs that keep us from stepping out, because it's not who we think we are, it's who we believe that we're not that holds us back. And so figuring out, hey, what is the dream? What is the vision? Where is it that you want to go? You have to define that and have that clear in your mind's eye. Because if you just say, hey, I feel like I need to move in this direction,
Yeah.
that's great, but you have to put clarity to it. And that becomes difficult for some people. They just feel like, hey, yeah, I need to go do this thing, but they don't take count of, okay, well, what does that actually look like? What steps do you need to put in place to do that? To have confidence to step into that, you have to be able to see it clearly.
Yeah.
Have
So
a vision for that.
awesome. That was one thing that I was going to ask, like, what is that one simple action that leaders can take? And I guess that's what it is. It's that clarity. To gain clarity would be that one simple action that they need to take first, right?
Yeah,
So, are there affirmations, truths, or beliefs you encourage leaders to anchor themselves in when doubt starts to creep in?
absolutely. I start with identity pieces, understanding and looking at your identity from a biblical point of view. As a Christian, I want to know who I am and whose I am.
Yeah.
The clearer I get and the closer I get to the creator, the more I understand me as the created. And when I really get clarity on that, what does God say about me? Who am I? I'm more than a conqueror. I am victorious. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I am more than a champion. I'm friend. I'm all the things that God says that I am. I'm a
Yeah.
child of God, blood bought, sanctified, and set free through his son, Jesus Christ. I am all this litany of things. And when you really get that down into a heart level, that produces confidence. You can walk boldly into the next thing that God has for you when you understand that at a core level.
That is excellent. I love it. Not just who you are, but whose you are. Because that is the truth, right? Where we are, where our stable foundation is, if it's in Christ, then we know that we can do all things through Christ. And so
Yeah, your
I love,
job doesn't define you. Your spouse doesn't define you. Your kids don't define you. Your relationship with God Almighty is where you get your true identity from. And when we're not clear on that, that's when we have issues. When we let our
so true.
spouse or our job or other things define us instead of what God says.
Excellent. I know that I had to go through that, through the domestic violence. I didn't have what I have today. And that's one thing that I did allow, was to allow the other person to define me and to start speaking trash into me. I don't want to say I was safe on that one. I had to be safe on that word. I was like, yeah, speaking into me those things that I was like, how did I let that go so far? But it does happen. And so, to anyone listening right now, those are the things that we need to be clear on, like how Philip was saying, the clarity and to define who you are. Don't let outside influences define you, because God is the only one who can truly say who you are, whose you are. And yes, you are a child of God. And so I must say, God don't make junk.
That's right. That's right.
So
Absolutely.
in Aloha is leadership and love. Leadership often starts long before someone holds a title. before we're defined by other people or other things. So, how do you define healthy leadership, especially for faith-driven leaders?
I love the saying, internal victories precede external victories. Anytime you see someone who has succeeded largely, you can tell that they've done a lot of work behind the scenes. They've done a lot of the heart work. And oftentimes, well, I'll wait on that. Let's go back to the leadership piece. Leadership is a hunger for something else that you're able to convey to others to bring them along. There's so many words you could throw out there to describe leadership. It's influence, it's the one in charge, it's so many other things that, I mean, we could probably go on for an hour just on that piece, but it really is a hunger for something more and influencing others in that direction.
Whenever I hear leadership, especially in this context of leadership and love, I always look at how Jesus led, right? Like how Jesus led, because if he wasn't the leader that he was, if he didn't take the time and say, well, he didn't even say, wrap the towel around his waist and get on his hands and knees to wash the feet of his disciples, even though the disciples were like, no, master, you can't do this, because they felt like, how can he, being who he is, bow down and do something so lowly, right? But he was like, how else? How else would he teach them how to serve if he wasn't going to lead in that way? And so I always look at that, like, as a leader now, I look at that as my example, because we can never lead if we, in a way that we want to, like how you were saying, leading someone in that direction, right? If we're not an example to that direction. So, so good. So good.
Yeah.
So, what does it look like to lead with both strength and love in high pressure environments?
I love there's a great saying that people don't care how much you know until they know
Yes,
how much you care, which goes
exactly.
back to that servanthood piece you were just talking about. When you get down and you actually serve people, build relationships, you get to know them, and they know that you truly care about them. You're encouraging them, you're lifting them up, you're championing their cause, you're helping them achieve their dreams. You're leading the way by serving them in the direction they want to go.
Yeah.
And in terms of high pressure environments, a lot of times it's built on a trust piece. And when they know that they can trust you, they trust you more because they know you care. Because you get down on your hands and knees and you serve them, you get in the mud with them and get dirty and get into the nitty-gritty. And I think that's a big piece of where you excel as a team, as an organization, as a group, when you're able to have that kind of camaraderie, that kind of trust in service and in love and in truly caring for one another. I think some of the high pressure environments that occur, those who excel in those are the ones that have a high trust.
Yeah. Excellent. So, how do you help leaders learn to extend grace, especially like how you were explaining just now, to themselves while holding high standards?
That's a tough one. It really is tough. A big piece of the victory framework is character and trust. And I
Yeah.
think when you hold your character above even reputation, if they ever conflict, choosing character over reputation when they conflict builds trust with others. When they see you do the right thing, even if it costs you, that builds.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It does, right?
That's a
When
big
you're,
piece of it.
yeah. I like that you use character because people forget, it is truly, it's your character that drives other people. because they see you. And sometimes people, like they want to hold up a front or they want to, but the day in and day out, especially when you're working together, it will reveal who you truly are. One day, even if you want to try to wear the mask all the time or whatever,
Yeah,
you have to be true to yourself. People need to trust you. People need to see you as who you are, that authentic you, because it will be revealed anyway. So that is so good. Character counts. It does. So
absolutely. It's paramount. It's foundational for
yeah,
being able to be confident. If your character's not right, if you're doing stuff behind the scenes and trying not to let anybody know, eventually you're going to be found out. The word says
right.
very clearly, what's done in dark, the light will shine on it eventually.
Exactly. That's what I go by also. Because someday the light will shine on it, right?
Yeah,
And we
whether
know
it's
that.
today or someday down the road, and I mean, we all do stupid things. We all do dumb things, selfish things, idiotic things. We're all fallen, sinful creatures. Every one
Right.
of us does things that are sinful and wrong and selfish and dumb. And that's where God's grace and God's mercy comes in. And that's where it's important to give ourselves a little bit of grace, but
Mm-hmm.
also show that to others. When
Yeah.
when you give people an opportunity to do something in your business, in your corporation, in your group, in your nonprofit, and they make a mistake, or maybe they do something that's a little shady and they get caught. There's when trust is broken, it can be so difficult, especially as entrepreneurs, as the quote unquote leaders of the organization or the company. It can be really, really tough to then trust someone else in that position or to help that other person build trust back. Sometimes it's an innocent mistake. Sometimes it's a willful doing of something they know they shouldn't do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it can be super, super tough to rebuild that trust once it's broken. But when you as a leader can step in and say, okay, I want to help you as an individual. I want to help you grow and learn from this. If it was just a silly mistake or if it was an intentional act, when you come at it with the point of view of saying, hey, we all make mistakes. How can I help you through this? How can we get through
Right.
this together? You come down to their level and work with them rather than be the boss and say, well, you did this, you get out of here, you're fired, or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. That servant spirit that says, you may have hurt me dearly, but I still want to help you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That kind of love and mercy is so rare, but it is so important.
Yeah. It's so needed in the world we live in today, where everything is so quick to pass over and, well, I can get someone else. You're out of here. Things like
Yeah.
that. But everyone needs to realize that even in some sort of mistake, or if they did something that was considered shady or whatever, there's a root to those things. Those root actions, like, okay, let me help you. Why did you even feel like you needed to do that? How can we help you? And it's people that can do that, they're the ones that change the world. They're the ones that change things because that would help the next person, right? And if they can see, like, wow, they didn't look at me from what I did, but why did I do it? And how did that affect everyone else? And they want to help me. They still care about me. That's crazy. And the reason why I look at that now and I can say the things that I do is because I did foster care for 4 years. And I know how the kids come in. They know, they're like, oh, I've done all this stuff wrong. People say all this stuff about me. I know how it's going to be. And I'm going to come into your house. I'm going to act the same way. I'm going to do the same thing because you think about me the same way too. Just like that. And they don't even know you. They just know that you're a foster parent and you're like everybody else. And I was like, no, no. Anything you did? I said, do you think they showed it to me? I said, yeah. Do you think I took it home with me? No, you won't find it here. It's because you come to my house with a clean canvas. You show me what you're going to do now. You show me what you're going to be now. Up until now, you're just you. You come in just like this. Like, whatever you want to be right now, we can start here. And they're looking at me like, yeah, I don't know about you. You're kind of weird.
I don't trust you yet.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Nobody ever told me that, but hey, I'm
Yeah,
going to figure this out. But yeah, once they see that that is exactly what I mean, then they are so much better because you don't put those labels on. You don't start off with those things. You start off with caring first. So
right. And that
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 is
goes
so
back to your identity piece. When you know who you are, you know whose you are. I can forgive much, I can love much because I've been forgiven much. I've been loved much.
exactly.
I can't give something I don't have.
Yeah.
I have no capacity in and of myself to be able to forgive someone when they've wronged me, only through the grace of God that He forgives me because I've messed up royally over and over and over and over again,
Yeah.
selfishly, stupidly, purposefully, arrogantly.
Right. Made
God
all the mistakes
forgives
and
me.
everything like that. Yeah.
I have made some of the biggest mistakes in my own life, and God has forgiven me and healed me and transformed me. Therefore, I can forgive and love and offer grace and mercy to others only because I have it.
Yeah. Because you can be that mirror now. Now you can share that
Right.
with others. That's so
Yeah.
good. So the H in Aloha is health and healing. Because even for me, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, sometimes we forget that we need to step back and we need to take care of ourselves. So leadership without health isn't sustainable. And Pastor Andrew Moman, he has that book, Leader Fit. And in the book, he mentions that you cannot be fit to answer the call of God if you're not fit. So you need to really take care of yourself. So how have you seen burnout or unaddressed wounds impact leaders over time?
That's a big one. It falls right in line with the victory framework in the O category, because O is operate, not as in doing tasks, but as in open heart surgery, as in you have to get in, you have to cut in deep into the heart and figure out why there's a blockage, why the blood's not flowing right, what is
Yeah.
keeping your heart from being open. And Pete Scazzaro, in one of his books, he says, the inability to grieve well is the beginning of all addiction. Man, when I read that for the first time back in 2023, I had some addictive stuff in my life I had to deal with. And it was like God kind of slapped me upside the head with a 2x4. And you get the sucker punch to the gut kind of check, and you're like, oh, that hurt, Lord. Ouch. I don't want to feel that, because, it hits right to home, and that you have to deal with the pain. You have to deal with the trauma. You have to learn how to sit in and feel the things you don't want to feel. And as a man, it's so easy to compartmentalize, put it in a box and put it on a shelf. Nope, we're not going to open that box. Nope, I just got to push through. It's all right. I'm a guy. I'm supposed to handle it. And that becomes so dangerous, because there's a great book, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die.
Wow. And
I,
who is
I'm
that by?
that is Carol Truman. I
Okay.
just got this book, and I haven't even really gotten into it yet, but the it speaks to the Pete Scazzero quote, because it really reflects that if you don't deal with the pain, if you don't allow yourself to sit in the pain and feel the things that you need to feel, it manifests in other ways. Your confidence takes a hit, your character takes a hit, your ability to trust others takes a hit, or your ability to do your job well takes a hit. It affects your productivity, it affects your mindset, it affects everything when you don't get in and heal and allow yourself to deal with the trauma and the hurt and the pain and the addiction, and you let self-talk negative run its course. You replay all the things that people say about you and to you, and we're so good about letting those things just, it's like we record it and we put it on repeat, and it just repeats in our brain all day long. You're no good, you're stupid, you're fat, you're selfish, you're what, all these dumb things that people tell us when they're hurt, and they just want to make us small so that they can feel big, right? Which is exactly what we then turn around and do, because we're hurting people hurt people. And so you have to deal with that hurt. You have to get in and heal. And it literally affects every area of your life if you don't. And that's one of the major pieces of that victory framework is to get in and operate and heal so that you can be healthy and productive. And if you're falling into addictive behaviors like drugs and alcohol, and then your physical fitness takes a hit as well too, right? So it literally affects everything. It is one of the most important pieces.
That is true. I remember when I was heavy into the alcohol, and it was like, that was my confidence. You know, it was like, that was my, right, exactly. I was like, I'm good, you know, if I felt bad, let me drink. And then I realized I was drinking all the time, all the time. And so I knew that those addictive personalities that we have, that's our coping mechanism, right? We tend to try to use something else to cope with something else. And if you don't address that underlying problem, all you're going to do is use something else. If it's not the alcohol, then it's food. Then you're like, oh, I'm overweight by 100 pounds. Oh my goodness. Then you realize, oh, this is the same addiction. Then you're like, okay, I won't do that anymore. And then you do something else.
Then it's binge
And it's another
watching, or
addiction. Now,
it's
right.
whatever.
Exactly. It's something else. So
Anything to
instead of
numb the
just
pain so we don't
replacing,
have to feel it.
exactly. So instead of continuously replacing it, to address it.
Yeah.
And to
And
realize,
it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do. And that kind of leads us to that next piece, which is getting around other people, building relationships. You got to have,
that is true.
you got to have good people in your life. You know, they say you become the average of the 5 people you hang around most with, right? Are you healing? Are you hanging around people that are helping you to heal, that are encouraging you, speaking life into you, championing your cause, helping you along the way, pushing you to a better life? Or are you hanging around your own negative self-talk and a bunch of toxic people speaking those things into your life, telling you that you can't do it, that you'll never succeed, that you're going to be stuck in whatever it is you're stuck in for the rest of your life, or, you know, get your head out of the clouds, or all the dumb things people say when they don't have your vision.
Yeah.
Relationships, association, the people in your life, your closest circle, you have to get the right people around you.
That is so true. You know, and that's why, like, I think people need to just really take the time to slow down and look at things, right? They need to be able to look at those things, because it's so easy to neglect yourself. It's so easy to hide behind something else, the addictions, the whatever. It's too easy. It's too easy. Especially in this world where another addiction could just be like in your pocket, you know?
Yep.
Exactly, right? Just like Right. And you're right there. And you're like, no, I'm not addicted to anything else. Then let me have your phone.
Let's see how well you do without this
Yeah.
for a
Let's
few minutes.
see how well you do. And then you'll get withdrawals and then we'll know.
Exactly.
So, how do faith and intentional leadership practices support emotional and spiritual healing?
It's foundational. Going back to your identity, your faith is paramount. If you're not solid in your faith and your identity, I mean, I look at the world around us. You've got a world of people that are struggling to figure out who they are. They don't know who they truly are, and they're looking, they're searching, and they're lost. It's no wonder we have so many of the problems we have today, because we're not in our identity. We're living a false identity. We haven't been taught to look in the right places for our identity. We find our identity in what we do and our significant others, or so many things, but we forget that God calls us to something bigger. Our faith is so paramount in everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, we look to other things, and that's the world that we live in now, where people, you can see it. You can see it all over, where they're looking to something else, looking for the next, I don't know, actor, actress or musician to hang on to. And that's now their identity. It's like,
Right.
no, no, that is their identity. But they
Yeah.
don't know who they are. So it's so much easier to be somebody else, right? Be that person, act like that person, talk like that person.
Yep.
I've seen it, and it's just the weirdest thing, but I've seen it where even if someone has an accent or a haircut or something, and they will change that. And it's like your hair is your own, it's not like you're putting clothes on or something. It's your own. And they will cut their hair or color their hair to match someone else. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, really? It's hard to see, but it happens so often.
It's no different
So,
than what theater was for me. It was, don't like who I am. I don't understand my true identity. I don't know who I've been called to be, and who I am hurts too much. So I'm going to take on a character and be on stage, and I'm going to take on this other character so that I don't have to be me, because me is painful.
yeah.
People walk around doing the same thing like you just talked about. It's changing their hair color and changing their accent. I mean, it's wild, but we do that because we're not confident in who we are. We're
And it's
not
easier to be
clear
someone
on our
else.
identity.
Yeah.
And so we put on masks, and we take on characters, and we a role that we can play. And God's saying, hey, I already made you a character.
Yes.
I already gave you a role. If you would just live into what I did, you'll find peace and joy and purpose and a calling and a reason to be. I've called you to influence people in a certain way. I've called you to influence specific people that, Michelle, you're called to influence and affect certain people's lives that I will never touch. I'm called to reach people that you'll never touch.
Yes.
And everybody is the same way. God has very unique and special purpose for each one of us. And if we can figure out how to walk in that and determine what that is, life becomes joyful. Life becomes exciting, and it's exciting and it's terrifying in the same breath. Lord, what are you going to do next? I don't know. Let's go.
Right. That is so true. But that is exactly where the last A in Aloha comes in, because it's in that acute awareness, in the awareness of who we are, because awareness often becomes that turning point. I know it did for me, because I had to be so aware at the fact that this situation I'm in, I'm not just covering my bruises. I'm not just covering his words. I am risking my life, And I
Yeah.
had to realize that, I'm not just trying to keep a roof over the head of family members. I'm risking my life. So it's like God had to shake me up, and like how you said, that sucker punch, and you're like, I I
There's some
get it,
weight.
I know. And you're like standing there like completely out of breath because when you get that punch, you're like
Yeah.
and you're like, whoa, I see it. I see it now. So looking back, what moment or realization changed the way you personally approach leadership and confidence?
And for me, I don't know that there's a single moment. I would say it's a compounding of this moment on this moment on this moment on that moment. Learning how to trust God in custody issue, finally gaining custody of my son and watching the transformation, and learning how to trust God in waiting when everything in you screams, I just want to act. I want to do, I need action. I need movement. I need progress. And God says, no, not yet. Wait. That's hard. When we care about something, when we love something so much, that was a major moment for me in learning how to wait on God, learning how to trust that God's taking care of stuff I can't see, and he wants me not to act, because if I jump in too soon with my will,
Yes.
it may seem right to me in the moment, but it will ruin what God really has in store that's better down the road.
Yeah. That's a one scripture, right? That one scripture where it says his ways are higher than our ways.
Yes, my ways are not your ways. Like, yes, it's true. And it's painful sometimes. And it's back to the words of Paul. I thank God for all trials and tribulations of all kinds, because I know that it's the trials and it's the tribulations and it's the hard stuff in life that builds perseverance. So let perseverance finish its work so that you may be complete, lacking nothing. Right? That's where I want to get to. Like, yes, life is hard. And we've built a society of people that are so afraid of offending one another. And I'm not sorry, the gospel is offensive to our sinful selves.
Yeah. Yep. Even your dog
Right?
agrees.
Yes, the dog agrees. Perfect timing. So how can we get comfortable being uncomfortable? Allowing ourselves to be in that fiery furnace where it gets hot. Like, I'm in it. Like, this furnace is hot. The temperature is getting hot in here. And I feel like I'm being put in, and I'm getting red hot. And then he pulls me out and he starts hammering and he starts beating me up. That's what it feels like. It's that refiner's fire. It's the toil and the pain of life that creates a hardness.
Mm-hmm.
We learn how to love. We learn how to give grace. We learn how to forgive, because God is building all of that in us, and he's forging us into something beautiful, something wonderful, something useful, whether it's armor, whether it's a sword, whatever it is, he's crafting us, but it requires being heated and pounded and heated and pounded. That's what life is.
Yeah. But it's the same way with gold, right?
Right.
You have to heat up that gold. You have to skim off all the junk that comes off of it, or whatever, gold, silver, all of that impurity that comes off to make it perfect and pure.
Yeah.
Right? It is hard. It is hard. Things that we go through, the things that we have to sustain, but we know we're not alone. And we know that he's right there with us. He's the fourth man in the fire. And so we can know and we can trust, and we know that we'll walk out unsinged, unscathed, and not even smelling like smoke, because he is with us always. And that is the thing that I always stand on, is that it's not easy. It's not easy to walk the walk that we walk, especially when we not only walk the walk of entrepreneurs, as authors, as speakers, but as Christians. And so we need to walk even narrower path than some other people. And you look and you're like, no, I can't walk that walk. Even though it's like sometimes it looks so much easier if you do it that way, or if but no, because we need to put our Father God first. So that is so good. So good.
And
So how
every
does
single one of us has that fire that we have to go through.
yeah,
Not one of us can get out of this life without going through some sort of fire, some sort of heating and pounding, some trial and tribulation and hardship. Every single one of us has something in our lives that we're dealing with, that we've dealt with, or that we're going to deal with. And if we can come to any relationship and realize that other person is going through stuff just like
yeah,
me, realizing that the most powerful person on earth has challenges just like you. The CEO of the company has the same struggles of whether people believe in him or confidence level, or we're all the same. We're all on the same level in terms of that. We all have struggle. We all have trials. We all have tribulations. And when we can see that, we can treat each other with more love, more respect, more dignity, more caring, and more loving attitudes.
so good. That is so true. For someone listening today, what is one awareness you hope they walk away with that could change how they lead their life, how they're doing things right now, or their calling?
Life is hard and you can make it.
True. That is true.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. When you put him at the center, you can get through it.
Exactly.
God, I can't make it through this. Lord, where are you in this?
Yeah.
Maybe if you're listening and you don't know God and you're struggling with something and you just, maybe it's something as simple as, God, if you're really there, help me through this. Show me that you are who others say you are. He'll show up. He'll show you. If you really want it, if you really seek, you will find. If you really
Yeah.
knock, the door will be opened. You can do
That
it,
is
and
true.
others can help. And there is a way, there is a truth, and there is a life, and his name is Jesus.
Amen. That is so good. And the one thing that you said too is others can help. A lot of times we think that we need to do it all by ourselves. And I know I'm one to say, because I always feel like I got it. I can do this. But no, it's okay. It's okay to ask for
Isolation is
help.
such a powerful tool of the enemy.
Yeah, that is so true. So when people look back on their leadership journey, what do you hope they'll say about how they led, not just what they accomplished, but in what you have, from what they heard from you, from what they learned from you? What do you hope that they would say?
I would hope that they come away knowing that confidence can be built, that purpose can be found, and that it doesn't matter where you're at in life. God can shape and shift and change and move and make it better.
So good.
And you can have the confidence to step into that.
Right. And with the victory framework, so what legacy do you hope that your work would leave for the leaders who serve, that you serve?
I just want to see Christian business leaders, really not even just business leaders, anybody, everybody, to be able to have confidence to step into their purpose.
Right.
Do the hard heart work on the inside so that you can build the confidence to step into your purpose with boldness, to go do what God has called you to do, so that you can go change lives. Because God put us all here to be in relationship, to help one another. And I hope that I can reach you, the listener, to go out and reach someone else.
So good.
That's the legacy that I want to see.
So you were explaining some of the letters in victory. Could you just go over the V.I.C.T.O.R.Y and all of that right now?
Absolutely. V is vision. We kind of talked about that.
Right.
Put the big rocks first. Start with why. Begin with the end in mind. All those things that we hear. It starts with vision. It starts with having a goal, a dream, and something that you're working toward. The I is identity, understanding who you are, whose you are, and the authority that you've been given here on this earth to affect change. Right. Understanding yourself by getting closer to God. The C is character. Having solid character, building solid character is paramount to having confidence in this life. If your character's shot, your confidence is going to take a hit, which leads into the trust piece, learning how to trust yourself, going back to the character piece, learning how to trust others, learning to build trust with others, and most importantly, learning that how to and that you can. And then the O is operate, as in open heart surgery. You got to operate on the heart level stuff. You got to deal with pain and trauma and all the stuff from the past. You have to dig in and heal. And then the R is relationships. You have to build solid relationships and distance yourself from the toxic ones. And then the why we didn't really talk about much, but the why is learning how to say yes, learning how to obey when God says move, and learning how to say yes to opportunities that align with your mission, vision, values, and what God has called you to do. Learning how to say no to the good opportunities so that you can say yes to the great opportunities when they arrive. Because too often we say yes to every good thing, and then God wants to bring the great thing in, and you can't because, God, I'm doing this good thing and this good thing and this good thing and this good thing, and I'm exhausted. I don't have time. I don't have energy. I don't have bandwidth. I don't have any. I can't do that. So learning how to say yes, learning how to obey, and then you have to do the work to make the yes a success. You have to show yourself competent in that so that you can actually do the yes when you say yes. So that's the victory framework in a nutshell.
So good. That was so good. All of this was amazing. Thank you so much for your authenticity, for your wisdom and your heart that you bring to the leadership spaces. And thank you so much because your voice reminds us that confidence is built, purpose is intentional, and victory is possible. Even before everything feels perfect, because sometimes we wait until they're perfect and it's never going to be, but you do the things before they feel perfect, right?
Yeah.
So, everyone who's listening, if you're hearing us right now, I mean, it is just so good to have you on. So good. So, everyone, take note, take note. And is there anywhere that everyone can reach out to you on? Your website, social media?
Absolutely. I do as a speaker, trainer, author at philipbrittain.com. You can ask me to come speak at your events. If you're looking to find me on social media, you can find me at the Philip Brittain on most platforms. Then also on my other websites, iwantvictory.com. That will be the events and courses that are soon coming. So iwantvictory.com, philipbrittain.com, Philip with one L, Brittain with two T's.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, Ohana, remember this. Confidence grows when faith leads. Leadership deepens when love is present. And victory begins when you choose to walk forward one intentional step at a time. So, Philip, thank you so much again for using your voice to equip leaders to rise with clarity, courage, and conviction. Thank you all for joining us here on the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast. Until next time, God's blessings always and ahui ho. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Michelle. Been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us here on the Walking in Aloha, Let's Talk Story podcast. Before leaving, please hit that subscribe button. God's blessings always and ahui ho.